Carrie George, and I'm excited to be going live with you here today at CIBN TV on YouTube. And of course, we are broadcasting live right now across other social channels. I have a very special guest here with me today, and I know that you are really going to like meeting him. His name is Dave McFarlane, and Dave is an amazing help to business owners in a variety of different ways. And so I want to introduce him right now. He is from Focus OpEx, and you are going to love getting to know him. Dave, tell me just a little bit about yourself and the business that you operate and how you help business owners.
Well, thank you, Carrie. Yeah, my name is Dave McFarlane, and I help business owners in a number of ways. The first one is I'm an investor, and so I look to buy small businesses. And so some people might say, well, how does that help them? Well, a lot of companies don't have a way out, and so by purchasing them, that can be the best thing that ever happened to them. The other thing that I do is I help small businesses improve operations. So I focus on manufacturers, so especially small manufacturers. I help them solve problems on the factory floor. And those problems, if left to persist, can really drag down earnings, revenue, create all kinds of issues. So those are the things that I do to help small businesses. And then I also help other consultants. So I help them, get their business going and find new ways to get paid for their services.
Awesome. I was just thinking about manufacturing companies and, how hard it is these days to be in business and all of the things that are going on in the world, especially since 2020. What are some of the common struggles that you find in operations in manufacturing companies?
Well, you mentioned, since the last few years, a common theme has been supply chain issues. And unfortunately, a lot of those problems were self-inflicted. So you probably saw this, when COVID hit, you go to Walmart or whatever store that you go to buy stuff and they're out of toilet paper, right? There wasn't really a toilet paper shortage. I mean, as far as producing it and getting it where it needed to be, the problem was everybody just bought 10 times what they needed. The same thing happened with manufacturers. So if they run short or the company or their supplier tells them my lead time is longer, what do? They buy more. Even worse, if they use an ERP system or an MRP system that helps them plan their purchases and their stock levels, the same thing. If you say the lead time's longer, I'm going to order more. And so basically this snowballed, and a lot of it was a self-inflicted wound. And in fact, with small manufacturers, it was even worse because, and I had several tell me this, is it wasn't that the lead time got longer. Their suppliers just said, we're not going to sell you anything. They said, the big companies are buying everything that we can make. You're basically not worth our trouble. So a lot of small manufacturers had to deal with that. So that's something that was real. Now, most of that is back to normal. Most of it, there's still some electronics that they have problems getting. But the problems that small manufacturers had before, and they still have now, is just the way that they control their inventory themselves. So I actually have past history. I worked for a company where we had a $500,000 piece of equipment that was held up for like a 50-cent part just because we didn't have it in stock. So that's a common problem that I see how they deal with their supply chain. And then related to that is probably the biggest problem that most manufacturers have is that they just can't make enough on time, right? So they can't meet the promised time for the product, or can't produce enough of them in the amount of time for what they're selling. And there are lots of reasons for that, but that's probably the main issue. And the thing is that's kind of masked sometimes. So they'll say other things like, oh, well, we have customer complaints, or our sales are down, or our profits down. And a lot of that goes back to the factory just not being able to make it.
Wow. So thinking ahead is a big part of the challenge.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
sorry, I
How
didn't
do
mean to
you,
interrupt.
yeah, he's okay. I was just thinking about how do you get them thinking in that new way of, strategizing for the future instead of just, knee jerk reactions as things are happening.
Well, a lot of it has to do with communication, right? So even small companies, companies as small as 50 people, tend to operate in silos. And one of the big setups for silos is sales and manufacturing, right? So sales is complaining that manufacturing can't build it fast enough. Manufacturing is complaining, hey, sales, you don't take our lead times or our capacity into account when you make the sale. And so you make promises that we can't keep. And there's this antagonistic relationship between sales and marketing very often. And that has to go away. So your sales plan, your marketing plan, and your production plan, they all have to be intertwined and work together. Otherwise, it's not going to work so well.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see that. And I can see how that would have a effect across multiple parts of the businesses. Yeah, that's interesting. So you also help a business owner to prepare for exit. What are some of the things that are needed in order for there to be an exit, like a sale or something that happens, that, gives ongoing money or a payout or something to the people who built that business?
Right. I think first and foremost is that folks, if they've never been through a sale of a business, they don't realize how complicated it is. It is not like selling a car or a house or other piece of property where you just sign one thing and on one day and it's over. It's usually a long process. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, if you're the owner operator of a business, what I tell them is that the more that you're worth to your business, the less your business is worth to a buyer. So one of the things that you need to do is kind of extricate yourself from the day-to-day operations and demonstrate to a buyer that it can run without you. If you can't, what happens is when the buyer comes in and buys your company, they're going to make you stick around for a while. So you're going to say, oh, I sold my business, but I still have to work there for 6 to 12 months because I need to transfer all my knowledge over to someone else that's going to operate it. So that's probably one of the key things that folks that are selling a business don't understand. And then further, if you have a very, very small business, I ran into this situation with a gentleman that owned a machine shop. So he wanted to sell his business, but it was 3 people, himself, what he called his right-hand man, and then one other person. And when I asked him why he was selling, he said, well, my right-hand man's retiring, so I guess I have to retire too. So he just took 2 of the 3 people out of the company. That's no longer a sale of a business, right? He really doesn't have a business to sell at that point. What he has is some assets to sell, but it isn't really a business. So that's a problem. And then the other thing, it takes a while to get things ready. So the first thing I said is, getting yourself out of the business, moving that direction. Documenting things is very helpful, so you can show people it's not just the people that know how to do this. We have processes documented that we can give you when we hand over the business. That's very important. Another thing is the finances. So what happens a lot with small businesses, they keep their books, and I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, but generally speaking, a lot of times small business owners, they keep their books in such a manner that it looks like they're not making much money. So they do that to minimize their taxes. But if you're trying to sell your business, you want to demonstrate that you're making a lot of money. And so it usually takes about 3 years to make that transition over on the mindset behind the way that you control your books. In addition, if a lot of small business owners, they kind of use their small business as their own personal bank. And so their personal finances are very much intertwined with their business finances. That has to be untangled. I'm sure there's many, many more, but this isn't that long of an interview, so I'll stop there.
Well, I was just thinking about that. We are in front of thousands of businesses a year, and I see this all the time as well, where a business owner is doing multiple things in their company. And in order to get it ready to sell, first thing is stop doing all of those things. Start hiring somebody to do the marketing, somebody else to do the books, and somebody else to do, the manufacturing pieces. How many people are manufacturing? Like, what are they doing? So yeah, when you untangle all of that and create job roles for them and move people into that, then that makes sense. Now you got your positions, you got people. They're running that. Am I kind of putting that together right? Is that
Yeah.
kind of how it works? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the owner has to figure out what are the roles you are filling, and how many people would it take to replace you, and start one by one replacing yourself so that you can pull out of that.
Yeah, and to that point, when I meet with small businesses, when I consult with them, I ask those questions, right? Who's doing what? And you're a small business, you wear a lot of hats. But one thing that I promote nowadays is fractionals. There are fractional services across the board of any type. And then there are virtual assistants as well. So you can really leverage those things to get stuff off of your plate, and have someone else do that and do it well. So, like small business owners, if they have, maybe 20, 30 employees, very often the business owner is the salesperson and maybe the only salesperson. So hiring a fractional marketing and salesperson could really elevate their business, plus pull them out of it. So, because they always say, well, we can't afford to hire a sales team. And I get that, but you can probably afford to handle, you can probably afford to hire a fractional, and they're worth their weight in gold.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen that as well. Very good idea. So as they're preparing for exit and you come in as a consultant, is there opportunity? I know you do this other special thing where you work with equity in a business. Tell us about that. How does that work?
Yeah. So as a consultant, I gave up dollars for hours a long time ago. So that's just not a good way to operate in general. So I either do it on a fee-based project, right? So I do this project, it's this fee straight. I'll also do a monthly retainer. But the best case scenario is to get equity in the business as well. And so that kind of has to be a special situation. First of all, it has to be a business you want a piece of, because if it's a failing business, I will certainly go in and try to help them, and I will consult for them. But do I really want to be a stock owner? It's usually the situation where I see they're flailing a little bit, but they have a lot of opportunity. And so I will tell them, hey, I'd love to come in and help you. So here's my fee structure. But what I really like to do is to be a partner with you in the business, right? And the idea is that if I'm your partner, I'm with you for the long haul. And so I'm going to be around forever as long as I have that equity to assist you with your business. So that's really how I sell it. And I really don't encourage people, if they want the equity, to work for free. You should really get paid a monthly fee in addition. So sometimes I'll structure it a little differently. So maybe I'll charge them less than I normally would on my monthly rate if they give me a nice equity chunk. But other folks, they'll say, this is it, take it or leave it. If you're really, really good at it and people are not beating down their door to hire you, you can pretty much name your price. But if you're just starting out at this, you might have to play ball with them a little bit, de-risk it a little bit, and so maybe charge a less of a monthly fee so that you can get that payout. In addition, the way I like to do it, the way I learned, was it isn't true equity, meaning they don't give you a stock grant, because if they do that, that's a taxable event. So basically, you're getting stock from them that you're going to have to pay taxes on, but you haven't really got paid yet. So I use a system that's called phantom equity, or just a profit sharing agreement. And the idea is that you put it in writing. It's a contract, and if I meet my goals, you pay me this amount of profits per month or per quarter, whatever you set up, and then that's going to go on until you perhaps sell the company. And then when you sell the company, I would get X amount of proceeds as well. So
Right.
that's a structure that can be very valuable to the consultant. But frankly, it's a really good deal for the business owner as well, because they now have an expert on their team that they didn't have before that can do things they don't know how to do.
Right. So you also work with consultants and business coaches, those that are doing strategy for companies and helping them to figure out how they could possibly get a piece of equity in a company they're working with. Is that right? Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I believe anyone that offers a service to a company, generally it's going to have to be a privately owned company. It's not impossible to get this from a publicly held company, but it's a little harder. I think anyone that offers a service where they can provide really something transformational, meaning, increasing their sales by 20% probably isn't enough to ask for equity. But if you're going to 3x their revenue or 5x their profits or something like that over a number of years, then that's fair to ask. And so the reason it's fair is because you're delivering so much value to them. It's fair to ask for a piece of that value delivered. So
Wow.
in general, even before I did consulting for equity, I priced my offerings such that I expect them to get a 10x return. And so that's really the way that you need to do it. And it could be a consultant. It could be that you're a sales and marketing person and you're going to drive it up. It could be any number of things, as long as you are sure that you're going to demonstrate, you're going to provide very, very large value for them.
Sweet. Okay, so just my final question is, like, who would you like to be connected with? Who are some people that you could really add some value to that you'd like to make some connections with?
So yeah, as I said, I really like small manufacturers. So that's really my sweet spot. So any small manufacturer that is experiencing some little bit of pain, either growing pains or things have gotten in a lull over the last few years, that would be the prime example. Also, folks that are looking to retire or leave their business soon. That's also really helpful for me. So those would be direct contacts. Beyond that, good referral partners for me are people like exit planners, so they're helping people get their business ready to sell. So that's a good referral partner for me. Sometimes bankers, that are lending money to companies. I've gotten a few leads from bankers as well. Financial planners as well. They're helping the people get ready for retirement. They know that they might need help in those ways. So those are some of the ones that are really good referrals for me.
Awesome. Well, I know I thought of a couple more great people for you right now, just as you shared that. So I will make those connections happen for you. And if anyone's watching along with us, you got a great connection for Dave, we will put his contact information down below. And I'm just going to actually right now add his email here at the bottom, just so you can see what that is. So if you want to reach out to him, and talk with him or ask him a question about something that he said today, that's where you can find Dave. And I will also put more information on our YouTube channel under CIBN TV. The video will live there, and we'll have all that contact information and stuff there for everybody. All right. Well, thank you, Dave, for coming today. Appreciate having you with me. And we will be seeing you more down the road.
Thank you very much, Carrie. Do we have time to add one final thought?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just encourage every small business owner, start working on an exit plan. This is kind of like life insurance, right? You don't wait to do it until you start feeling sick. I've heard so many horror stories of things that went wrong, where people say, well, it's way down the line. I don't have to worry about it. Well, it takes a while. 3 to 5 years is how long it takes to really get your business in really perfect shape to sell. And then also things can happen along the way. So, illness or death of yourself or a partner in a business, you really need to get those things straightened up so you take care of yourself, your family, your customers, and your employees. So I really encourage that.
Awesome. All right. So you guys have heard it. This is where you go to get the help that you need for those exit strategies, and make sure that you connect with Dave. All right. Happy capitalism.
And
Have
you.
a